So now the people of Jannah are going to describe how these people who used to have light, they used to have light, they used to have faith. How did they lose it? How did they end up bankrupt on Judgment Day? And this ayah is particularly profound because then it will give us an insight into how does someone lose their iman. How does someone end up taking the most priceless treasure that they can have in this life, our faith, and end up squandering it and losing it? It doesn't happen overnight. You don't just lose your iman. It's a process. And that process has been described in these timeless words. Bala, of course you used to be with us. وَلَكِنَّكُمْ فَتَنْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. However, you put yourselves, I'll do a rough translation first and I'll explain. Number one, you put yourselves in fitna, you put yourselves in trial. Fatana in Arabic actually means to put something to the test. Fatana is also used when you test the purity of gold and you melt it and impurities come out. Gold doesn't go through an easy test, it goes through a painful burning test. The idea of fatantum anfusakum, there are many lessons associated with it, but for the purposes of this khutbah, I'll highlight one of them. You kept putting yourselves in situations where your faith gets tested. Try to understand what that means. You kept putting yourself in environments where you knew it was bad for you, but you said, no, I can handle it. I got this. You kept surrounding yourselves with friends that would do bad things, say bad things, see bad things, go to bad places, but you said, I'm not like them, I'm just trying to help them. And you kept going back into those environments. You kept getting into gatherings and places and situations. You kept putting yourselves in those places assuming that it will not have any effect on you. It'll affect everyone else, but it won't affect you. You know, the first step wasn't that these people just became disbelievers. It was actually bad company. They put themselves in questionable circumstances. And they assume that it's not going to have an effect. You know, when you are, I'll give you a silly example, but it'll get the point across. If people do a lot of cooking at home, especially if you're a desi household, you do a lot of cooking at home, the home smells like a lot of masala. But if you live there, you don't smell it. When somebody else walks in, especially if an Arab walks into your house, they feel like they're in some contaminated zone. It hits them really hard. But a couple of hours later, they're like, it's just oxygen now. You understand? When you first put yourself in a bad environment, you might feel it. You might feel, this isn't good. This is going to mess me up. I don't think I should be here. Your heart will feel uncomfortable. But if you keep putting yourself in that situation over and over and over and over again, guess what? It doesn't bother you anymore. Somebody who smells, stands next to a smoker for the first time is coughing and their eyes are burning. But if they start smoking themselves a year later, that just becomes their oxygen. They can't even breathe normally without smoking. It changes them altogether. The first problem was you surrounded yourselves in a bad environment. فَتَنْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. What was the second problem? The second problem was وَتَرَبَّصْتُمْ. You kept procrastinating. Now what does that mean? That means you realized it's bad, and you also realized in your own conscience, I should change, but you told yourself, I'll change pretty soon, inshallah. I'm going to change. I know I have to change. I know this is bad. Just one more week, and I'm going to be a different person. Man, just this semester, I got these messed up friends right now, and I can't really make them upset, so I'm going to keep hanging out with them. But next semester, I'm totally doing a different schedule. I'm not going to be around these guys anymore. But let me ride out this semester. Just this one more month, I'm doing this. Just this one more weekend, just this one or two more party, just one or two more drinks. That you keep telling yourself just a little bit more, and then people tell my favorite one, Ramadan is right around the corner. It's just 10 more months, 11 more months. Once Ramadan comes, man, I'll be totally different. And I plan to go to Hajj. Once I go to Hajj, you watch, I'm going to be a different person. But until then, just make dua for me. Tarabbastum. You didn't want to make a change today, right now. You assumed, not only are you putting yourselves in a bad environment, you're not ready to make a transformation right now. It's too much for you to be asked. You'd rather just stick it out. You'd rather just enjoy a little bit more. This is what tarabbastum. But you know what? And you assumed, by the way, this also has an assumption. The first assumption was it doesn't affect you. It doesn't have an impact on you, but it does. Something really bad becomes normal to you over time. You get desensitized. What is the effect of tarabbus, of holding off and holding off and holding off? Actually, you assume that you can put the brakes on at any time. And you can walk away from all of it whenever you want. I'm not addicted. I don't need this. I'm not hooked on it. I could just walk away whenever I feel like. The truth of it is, that's not the case. The longer you stay, the more addicted you become, and the more impossible you feel, you can't get out. It's impossible for you to get out of it. You're completely immersed. You're completely drowned. And you don't even know anymore what it is to be outside of this environment. And then you start telling yourself, it's too late for me. And when that happens, a guilt sets in. The guilt sets in that I'm pretty messed up. Man, I've been doing sins. I've been in this bad environment. I should have made tawbah a long time ago, but it's too late for me. And that bad, nobody likes to feel bad. Nobody likes to feel guilty. And then shaitan comes and says, why do you feel guilty? You don't have to feel guilty. The only thing that's making you feel guilty is this Islam thing. Islam says this is haram and that's a sin and that's a sin and you can't do this and you can't say that and you can't go there. Islam keeps making you feel bad, man. I want you to feel good. How true is Islam anyway? And now the thoughts start running in this person's mind, a man or a woman. Why am I even following Islam? It seems like it just wants me not to be happy. I just want to live my life, man. I just want to be free. I just want to be able to do what I want. I just want to be able to hang out with my friends. I'm not so sure about the Quran anyway. How do we even know there is a God? How do we even know? What's this hadith business? I mean, how do we even know it's authentic? And so you have this young man or woman, this Zainab, this Ali, this Fatima, this Abdullah, this Kareem, these beautiful names, and now they're starting to ask questions about, I'm not so sure about this Islam. I don't know. I have doubts. I have serious doubts. And these are not PhDs in philosophy, nor do they have exhaustive education in Islamic history where they studied it and they started developing doubts. No. They were in a bad environment. They didn't change themselves. That is the process. I've talked to hundreds of these people that literally live this ayah. They live this ayah. And then they get to a point where they have doubts. But their doubts have nothing to do with logic or reason. As a matter of fact, when you answer one doubt, they go to the next doubt. When you answer that one, they go to the next one. When you answer that one, you go to the next one. Then you say, hold on a second. So how long ago did you start ending up in questionable kinds of company? And then the truth starts coming out. وَارْتَبْتُمْ. The very next words are, you fell into doubt. You started doubting. You know what doubt will do? It'll let you off the hook. You'll be able to say to yourself, well, it's not really absolutely the truth anyway, so I shouldn't feel bad that I don't follow it. I shouldn't feel bad. And now once those doubts settle in, and you hide behind those doubts, and continue to justify your life of procrastination and putting yourself in fitna, once you get to that point, then two things are taken away from you. The desire for Jannah is taken away. The desire for making Allah happy is taken away. The desire to have that light that will make you run and get to that destination, you don't even have that in this world. The person who desires to seek that success with Allah, Allah will give them that in this world. But that desire is gone now. You have doubts about it. And the fear of hell is gone. Those two things are gone. Your fears are gone, and your hopes and aspirations in Allah and the akhirah are gone. The afterlife is nothing to you. The afterlife means nothing. If somebody even brings up heaven and hell, it's a joke to you. Well, if you take away heaven and hell, if you take away the motivation to end up in the reward of Allah, or get away from the punishment of Allah on Judgment Day, well, the only motivation you're going to have left are things that are left in this world, isn't it? You have nothing left in the next life, so the only thing to look forward to are stuff that's left in this life. And this life will be money, it'll be fame, it'll be leisure, it'll be pleasure, it'll be material things. That's all you ever think about. That's all you ever care about. That's all you ever want to know about. That's the only thing that ever interests you. That's the only thing you make efforts towards because you think all of these things are going to bring you happiness. They'll bring you contentment. So the next words are, وَغَرَّتْكُمُ الْأَمَانِيُّ. False hopes deceived you. You had false hopes that some kind of worldly thing will bring you happiness, and you ran after it. You gave all of your life to it. And you would think that this will bring you what you're looking for, and you get to it. Like people wanting to see, people nowadays obsessed with the next movie that comes out, the next toy, the next device that comes out, right? Lines for the new Star Wars longer than passports for Hajj, Why? Because you need to go see it. If you don't see it, how does your life have any purpose? How your life means nothing if you didn't see it opening night, And so you have to see it. And by the way, hoping that this will bring you some kind of fulfillment that you haven't found anywhere else. And people walk out of it and say, that was pretty awesome. And then they're bored again. Like, what do I do now? Maybe I could go see it again. And then go see it again. They're like, well, not as exciting the first time, but still pretty cool. You keep looking for something more to fulfill you and fulfill you. Because the thing that will completely fulfill you, the pleasure of Allah, is no longer there. That desire is no longer there. وَغَرَّتْكُمُ الْأَمَانِيُّ حَتَّى جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ, until the decision of Allah came. This was your life. This, according to the believers, is a summary of a person's life that lost their faith. They started just with putting themselves in a questionable environment, and from there, it's a downward spiral. Automatically, the next thing is you start getting hooked on it, you put off, and then later on you start developing doubts, and from there, the only thing you ever work towards is worldly, lustful, material gain, material desires. وَغَرَّكُمْ بِاللَّهِ الْغَرُورِ.